Hello! What I have for you today is a brand new chunk loader. Now, I know, the last chunk loader video I did was called the final chunk loader, which tends to mean the last of something, because I thought that it was basically perfect. It couldn't really be improved. But what I have for you today is actually a slightly different chunk loader that offers a different purpose than all of the previous ones I've shown you. And this one is the most powerful one yet. What sets this chunk loader apart from all of the previous ones I've shown you is this one is not survivable. But that is not its selling point. Its selling point is that this one is a remote chunk loader. What this allows you to do is wirelessly load any chunk of your choosing. And it's really easy to do. So, I shall give you a demonstration. We have a few command blocks, we've got this little pink spot here, but nothing's actually happening on the screen at the moment. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wirelessly load a chunk 500 blocks away with these command blocks. So all I have to do is I want to place down Mr. Piggy here, who is called chunk loader 1. I'm going to press this button, and as you can see on the screen we get chunk loaded, because basically what's happened is I've loaded a chunk which had a clock that says repeatedly chunk loaded, and it's just that easy to do, and I'm going to show you how it works. So off we go. Now this command block right here will just teleport us 500 blocks away, so we'll go there, and we will see that we have a chunk highlighted, and we have just a simple hopper clock which is just saying chunk loaded, but this isn't the chunk loader. This is just a clock to indicate that the chunk is loaded. So yeah, the way it works is basically we'll just go back, and it uses the following command. So, spread players, X, Y, 0, 1, false, an entity or player. So basically it spreads players to an X and a Y coordinate. The 0 is the minimum distance and the 1 is the maximum distance. So it will spread the players or entities a maximum distance of 1 centered at these two coordinates. False is respect teams. It can also be true. I don't think it really matters in this case. And the entity that it is spreading is an entity with the name chunk loader 1. So if we just put one of these down, so chunk loader 1, and we press the button, you'll see that that will load the chunks. So basically it's just that simple. If you spread a player, well, if you spread a mob to a specific coordinate, it will load the chunk remotely. Now I'm going to give you an example of when this might be useful. Just a very, very basic example. So over here we have yet another command block, and inside we have a set block command which is going to try to set a block of stone into that chunk that we can load. Now, if I press this, and I go into it, you can see that the previous output says cannot place a block outside of the world, because basically testable block, set block, summon, and clone can't actually do anything in unloaded chunks. The chunk needs to be loaded to either, clone something or to set a block there. So obviously we can use this here. So if we just create a pig with the name chunk loader 1, and we teleport him over there, and then we press the button, you'll see that it says block place. Because that chunk is now loaded, you can now set a block there, you can now summon an entity there, you can now clone something from that chunk. A great thing about this is that it will only load that specific chunk. It won't load a 10 by 10 area of chunks, it will just load the single chunk that the entity was sent to. Furthermore, the chunk will actually automatically sleep after about 20 or 30 seconds. So if you do not run the command again, then the chunk will automatically turn off, basically. Now remember that this is the spread players command. This isn't teleport. Teleport won't work. It only works with spread players, and I believe it has to be a mob as well. Also remember that these are lazy chunks, or redstone processing chunks. These are not entity processing chunks. To create an entity processing chunk, you need a 5 by 5 grid of lazy chunks, and the central one will turn it into an entity processing chunk. So just remember that.